Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast, where we explore the intersection of mindfulness, personal growth, and productivity. Today, we are thrilled to have Emily Guerra, a productivity life coach and founder of the Productivity Flow, with us. Emily is passionate about helping self employed women break free from the hustle culture and burnout by optimizing systems, routines, and mindset. Her unique approach blends lessons from therapy and her own work from home journey to create sustainable productivity strategies. So, whether you are an entrepreneur or simply looking to live more mindfully, Emily's insights will help you escape overwhelm and achieve balance in both your personal and professional life. So, Emily, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute pleasure having you today with us.
Hey there, I'm so excited to be here.
Emily, hustle culture, it's so pervasive, especially for entrepreneurs. How do you
Mhm.
define mindful productivity and how it can help us stay away from the constant grind?
Such a good question. So, I think the hustle culture really forces us to always be acting, right? To just do, be busy, go, go, go. And so, mindful productivity really takes into account how to do that. How do you actually be productive and be busy and do all of the things in a way that does not burn yourself out, in a way that does not stress yourself out, overwhelm yourself, that actually allows you to enjoy the work, to enjoy the process, and enjoy your personal life too. So that's really what I am all about.
Hmm. Many people don't realize they are burned out until it's too late. And that is really very, very detrimental for both their health and their mind. So, what are some early signs of burnout that we should be mindful of? And how can productivity strategies help prevent all these symptoms?
Such a good topic because I think we are seeing the highest rates of burnout ever right
Yeah.
now. And I do believe that is because of the hustle culture, because we are expected to constantly be on the go in order to be successful, right? And so some early signs that you are on the verge of burning out is just constant exhaustion. Like if you end your workday and all you want to do is be a couch potato, watch some Netflix, just binge a little bit, and that's the only thing that you have energy for, then that's a big sign that you are on the verge of burning out because you can't actually enjoy or live your personal life. So that's one big sign. I think another one is this constant feeling of doubt and wondering if you're even able to continue going or how you're able to, do the next big thing. And that imposter syndrome, that self-doubt can be really detrimental on our energy because if we're constantly wondering and worried, then we're not going to put our most productive foot forward. We're not going to be able to be mindfully productive because we have all of this mental chatter going on. So I think doubt is another big thing to look for.
I think the first symptom itself, it sounded very, very scary because it is so common. In fact, I
Mm-hmm.
also feel like I've seen all of my friends going through that when we chat, just after coming back from office or just getting their work done. They don't feel like doing anything else. They don't even want to
Yep.
change their clothes. They just want to sleep or lie down and watch something.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's, I think I see that in almost every single one of my coaching clients. Honestly, I think that's a really big sign that I have noticed and like a theme that I have noticed in my coaching clients is how after the workday, we just don't feel like doing anything. And that is honestly kind of sad, because why are we working? To have a personal life, to afford a personal life. And like, if we can't actually do that because of our work, then something's missing, right? That just doesn't connect. It doesn't make sense if we take a step back and actually look at it, right? And so, yeah, being aware, being intentional, I think, and noticing, that's really the first step in overcoming burnout. And, I think it's realizing that you're about to burn out and being honest with yourself, right?
Definitely, definitely. And what are some common mindset barriers that hold back people from being productively mindful? And how can we overcome them?
Such a big one that I see time and time and time again is the phrase, I don't have enough time. That is told to me probably every single day by either coaching clients or other people I know. And just that phrase, I don't have, right? That's a scarcity mindset, isn't it? It's realizing, saying something that you lack, right? You have no control in that. And that's really defeating, really demoralizing, really not motivating. In fact, it just makes you want to do nothing if you don't have the time for it. So reframing that one phrase can honestly give you your power back. And the way that I always like to reframe that is, I have the power to use my time effectively, right? Or something along those lines, whatever, clicks with you that makes you feel empowered, but just taking your power back in whatever way that is. So whether it's, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money or energy, or whatever it might be, say what you do have. You do have the control. You do have the power, right? To treat your time, treat your money, treat your energy, however you think is most effective. But you got to own that. You can't keep giving away your power. I think ultimately that is the overarching theme with all of these self-limiting beliefs and mindset hurdles that we see. It's really just the fact that we're giving our power away to our self-talk, to our negativity. So taking that back in your self-talk is really, really empowering, not just for like your personal development, but truly for your productivity. Because if you believe that you have the power over your time, that you can spend your time however you'd like to, then you're going to be more productive because you have that power. It's up to you.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Emily, you are a productivity life coach and founder of the Productivity Flow. So, can you share some tips for building daily routines that boost productivity without adding any unnecessary pressure or leading to overwhelm?
Oh, I love this question. Routines is honestly one of my favorite things to coach because, an unintentional routine, if we take a step back and actually think about it, it can be pretty obvious how our routine can keep us stuck, keep us unproductive, right? So like, for example, if you have this habit of waking up in the morning and you snooze your alarm, and then you snooze your alarm, and then you snooze your alarm, and then the first thing that you do is you scroll on your phone, you're setting yourself up to have an unproductive day because you're starting your day by procrastinating getting up. And then you are, forcing all this content into your brain so early in the morning, it causes anxiety, right? Because of that constantness of social media or whatever you're scrolling through on your phone. And so being intentional with your routine can maximize your productivity on so many levels, whether it's your energy, your mindset, or your actual systems and tools. Two routines that I always think change the game for my clients is number one, a workday startup ritual. So what this is, it's a very short routine that you do at the start of your workday in order to shift into a productive mindset, to shift into work mode, right? So for me, what this looks like is I meditate for 10 minutes. And then I write down my daily affirmations, I write down my daily goal, and I write down what I'm grateful for. And then I take another big deep breath, and then I get into work. And I do that consistently every single morning because doing that consistently trains my brain that when I'm meditating, when I do my affirmations, as soon as I'm done writing what I'm grateful for, that signals to my brain that it's time to work, right? And that only happens with consistency. Now, another routine that is truly transformative, particularly for work-life balance, is a workday shutdown ritual. Same concept, but at the end of your workday. So it's a short little routine that you do to shift out of work mode and into personal mode. This is fabulous, especially if you work from home, because it creates those boundaries, that separation of space, right? And that's really hard to do if you work, for example, in your living room, right? You need that separation. You need to be able to say goodnight to work, to put it away. So the way that I do my shutdown ritual is I will look at my daily goal. I will ask myself if I hit it or if I did not hit it. And then I'll journal like, why did I hit it? Why did I not hit it? What worked? What didn't work? And then I will outline my schedule for tomorrow, my time blocked schedule for tomorrow. So then that way it's ready to go in the morning. I don't even have to think about it. I already have a plan there. And then I turn out all of my lights. I push in my office or my desk chair. I close my laptop and I just say goodnight to work. And then I shift into personal mode, right? And doing that consistently will trigger to your brain like, hey, time to leave work behind, time to let it go for the evening. And that shift, those two little routines, those two little rituals can truly transform your productivity, because if you're setting yourself up for a successful day and to have work-life balance and to enjoy your evening and have a successful day tomorrow. So those two routines are the two that I always recommend starting with.
Sounds very effective, Emily. Wow. So you also emphasize the connection between productivity and mental health. So how does improving our productivity lead to better mental well-being, and how can we create systems that support both?
So fair. So I really do believe that productivity and mental health go very hand in hand. And I think we have all experienced this, right? Like if we are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, stressed out, it's really hard to be productive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we're feeling happy, mindful, energetic, then guess what? Being productive is a lot easier to do. And so I truly believe that if you can set your mindset up to be a bit more calm, more present, more focused, more in the moment, then productivity will come naturally. I actually love to redefine productivity in having 3 productivity pillars. And the first pillar is motivation. Right? You got to have something that's in it for you. You got to figure out why you are doing something. And then the second pillar is focus. You have to harness that internal focus, you know, your mindset, your self-talk, any doubts or things like that, but also your external focus, decluttering, notifications, distractions, interruptions, making sure that you really have that harnessed. And then the third pillar is flow. Right? Getting into that flow state, finding a rhythm of things. And that really requires you to be present, right? Because you can't get into the flow if you're multitasking, if you are going all over the place, if you're switching between stuff, if you're letting distractions and interruptions distract you. And so having those 3 mindset pillars, motivation, focus, and flow, will always boost your productivity, because being productive truly is being in a state of mind, right? So we have to prep ourselves to be in that state. So that way, at the end of the day, we don't feel like couch potatoes and we actually do have the energy to have a personal life.
That's really great. Many of us are still working from home, although there have been, mandates of returning to work or maybe hybrid, but still, many of us are still working from home in that setting. So it brings, of course, its own set of challenges. What are your best tips for optimizing the work from home environments and staying productive while also maintaining a healthy balance?
I love this question because honestly, I think if COVID taught us anything, it's that work from home is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And so how can we make sure that it works for us? I think number one, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier too, but let's dive deeper, is let's create that separation of space. So I used to live in a 1-bedroom apartment, right? And when you live in that small of a space, you don't have an office. You don't have somewhere that you can go in order to create that separation. So how do you do that? I love to do it with lights and like lamps, for instance. I will have lamps on my desk that once I turn on, I signal that, okay, this desk area, this is my office right now. This is my office for the day. And then when I'm ready to end work, I will turn those lamps off. So that way my desk, my office, my mock office, gets dark and it looks like I've said goodnight to it. So creating that separation in whatever way works for you and your space is number one, always, I believe. And then number two, I think if you live with people particularly, letting them know what your availability is. So right now I moved out of my 1-bedroom apartment and in with my boyfriend, and we both work from home. And so we often have to share like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be in a meeting from 3 to 4. Please don't try to come into my office then. Right? We communicate that to each other. So then that way we don't interrupt each other. We don't distract each other. We allow each other to get into the flow and the rhythm of things. And we come together during lunch, during breakfast, during our breaks to have that mental break, to have some chatter, some fun. And then we let each other know when we're available next again. So practicing those two things can honestly transform your work from home life because it gives you a lot more control back. And I think that's ultimately what we're all missing is that control. So just starting with those two things is massively helpful.
Absolutely. So productivity isn't always a straight path, Emily, and there can be setbacks or any unplanned deadlines or projects. So how do you coach your clients through times when they feel stuck or when their progress slows down?
There's a lot of different ways. I think it really depends on the goal and the client, right? So something that I always encourage my clients to add to their calendar is a buffer block, a buffer time period. What do I mean by this? I always like to include a 30-minute period in every single one of my days to handle those distractions, to handle any incoming emails, any urgent projects, any, phone calls, text messages, anything that I missed while I was working, I will handle during my buffer block, right? So that way I literally have time to manage those distractions. And so that way, if I have scheduled out, time to work on my goal, those distractions don't prevent me from working on my goal. I think it's really about being intentional with how we set up our time. Because if we're setting up our time to be like, oh, I'm going to do, goal A through B on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I don't know when or how, but that's when I'm going to do it. If you have that very basic, not really detailed plan, it's going to go awry because distractions are going to happen. It's inevitable. So plan for the distractions, right? And they're going to happen. So make sure that you have time to handle them. It's actually a really powerful thing, adding the buffer block to your day, because it really, again, gives you that control back, right? It allows you to say, no, not right now. Let me handle my goal first, and then I'll handle you during my buffer period.
That's effective. And also when we are handling so many tasks, with so many demands pulling us in different directions, how do you recommend prioritizing tasks in a way that aligns with their values while still being productive?
Number one, I always feel like doing an Eisenhower matrix is so incredibly helpful to understand what things are urgent, what things are important, when the deadlines are, if you can delegate anything, maybe you don't have to do something. So just being honest with yourself and actually analyzing the urgency and importance of your tasks. And then from there, look at your goals and see how your urgency and importance aligns with those tasks and goals. And then kind of just make an action plan from there on out. I always love to make, monthly action plans, because if we go any farther than that, we can get a little lost in the future. So let's keep it as present as possible, right? And so some hacks that I really love doing in order to be able to prioritize effectively that really matches your goals and values is having a vision for your life, for your project, or whatever your goal is once you have achieved that goal. So that way you can look at your vision, you can read it through or look at your vision board, whatever clicks with you, and ask yourself, okay, now does this priority fit into my vision? Does it lead me towards my goal? If the answer is yes, then amazing. It should stay as a priority. But if the answer is no, if it's distracting you from your goal, then maybe it should not be a priority, right? And so taking that time to be reflective, to look internally and to actually understand what it is that you're working towards will really enable you to better prioritize in a way that aligns with your values.
Superb. And before we wrap up, Emily, self-compassion, it often gets overlooked in productivity conversations. How important it is to be kind to ourselves on this journey, and how do you incorporate self-compassion into productivity practices?
You are so right. Self-compassion is never talked about with productivity. And I am determined to change that, because if we are not kind to ourselves, if we are constantly beating ourselves up for not being productive enough, for not doing enough, for not going fast, for, it's not perfect, it's not enough, if we're being a perfectionist in any way, then that really harms our self-worth and it harms our motivation. And it makes us not willing to put in the work to move forward. And so I always tell my clients to get a little cheesy and talk to yourself like you would talk to a child, right? We are never mean to children. We'll never tell a child like, you idiot, why did you do it like that? Like we would never say that to a kid. So why do we say it to ourselves? We don't deserve it, just like a kid doesn't deserve it. So start talking to yourself in a way that you would talk to a kid, and you will notice, I guarantee this, you will notice that challenges are not as scary and that mistakes do not weigh as heavily on you. Because if you're forgiving, if you're compassionate, then you're willing to mess up because, hey, you're human. Everybody messes up. It's okay, right? Yeah. Don't beat yourself up for it. Empower yourself to learn and to move forward. Otherwise, you will always stay stuck and unsatisfied. So yeah, being kind is something that I really love working on with my coaching clients, because once I made that shift in myself, I noticed a tremendous difference in not only my productivity, but really my happiness, my work-life balance, right? Because I was just kinder to myself. I became my own best friend. We can always count on ourselves to be there. So we might as well work on empowering ourselves.
Excellent. Excellent. So Emily, if our listeners want to connect with you to understand and explore your resources and know more about the productivity flow, how can they do that?
They can go to theproductivityflow.com, or you can find me on Instagram at theproductivityflow.
Great. We'll mention all the details in the show notes. And Emily, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today and your approach to mindful productivity and creating balance. It's so refreshing, especially those who often feel overwhelmed. So thank you so much once again.
Oh, well, thank you. This was such a fun conversation, and I loved your questions. It was so fun.
So listeners, for anyone who wants to dive deeper, be sure to check out Emily's website, The Productivity Flow, and her one-on-one coaching programs, online courses, and resources to help you build a more fulfilled and productive life. Thanks to everyone for tuning into this episode of The Mindful Living, and we look forward to seeing you, what we have for you in the next episode. Thank you so much and have a great day.